Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel. Before we get started, I do want to encourage you, if you want a life, relationship, business, or entertainment coaching for professional wrestling or other ventures, please feel free to reach out to my main channel, Golden Opportunities Coaching. We'd love to give you a special there as we are running new 2021 specials. But this is the Raw review for the 19th of April 2021, and what a miserable show this was. In all seriousness, um, this is by far the worst National Wrestling program on television, at least in my opinion, in comparison to AEW, in comparison to MLW, in comparison to ROH. Raw is the worst program week in and week out. Anyway, Drew McIntyre enters. He speaks about his opportunity to earn a championship match, beating Strowman and Orton. He claimed that they triggered his comment that would get him a title rematch, and makes a some sort of remark that people are too easily triggered these days. So going to be some inside baseball there. He speaks about the opportunity that T-Bar and Mace took last week, trying to make a name for themselves at his expense. He knows the Mastermind's MVP. He wonders if they take off their stupid masks and start wearing suits. McIntyre plans on getting himself some retribution at some point, not in the not too distant future. MVP interrupts. He says he didn't recruit T-Bar and Maze. In fact, Bobby Lashley tries to dominate the Hurt Business and downsize it. He says that Lashley already beat McIntyre on his own. McIntyre remarked that Lashley tried sending his entire locker room before him at WrestleMania. McIntyre leaves the ring to confront MVP when he's attacked by T-Bar and Maze, and they give him a double choke slam in ring, and they leave him up the ramp without acknowledging MVP's existence. T-Bar and Maze interview by Kevin Patrick, who is already proving to be horrible, and then they use some scripted dialogue that doesn't fit either one of them. They said they're going to make McIntyre extinct. Post-break, McIntyre confronts Pierce, demands a match against T-Bar and Mace, and Pierce tells him to find a tag team partner. McIntyre didn't want a partner and told Pierce to make the match happen. We move to Viking Raiders defeating Cole and Alexander. Not Cole. Viking Raiders defeating Alexander and Benjamin in just over 5 minutes. The heels control the early part of the match. Raiders win with a Viking experience, planting him for the second straight week. Adnan Vink calling Viking Experience Viking Express was an interesting bundle. Anyway, so in the back, Orton tells Patrick that nobody could have done what he did to The Fiend at WrestleMania. He admits McIntyre won last week, but he'd be waiting for the winner of the title match at Backlash. Riddle scooted in to interrupt Orton's interview. Riddle always wants to meet an Apex Predator and wonders what Apex Predator was. Riddle said neither of them had titles, so they should form a team to name RK Bro. Riddle continues to speak. Orton simply walks away. Orton approached Pierce after break. He said he didn't know Riddle's name. Told Pierce he wanted a match against a guy who rides around in a scooter. Orton Strowman is advertised earlier today, but it's not acknowledged here. Charlotte Flair cuts a promo. They air a promo from last week as she enters, and she came back for another promo. Charlotte said she didn't plan on hurting anyone's feelings last week. She's telling the truth. She claims that women in the back hate each other as much as they hate her. They pretend to like each other. She says none of them had any reason to complain because, unlike her, they didn't have a scheduled Mania match taken away. She said she could beat both Ripley and Asuka. She didn't mean to disrespect Asuka because Asuka is one of the best. She says she doesn't have to like her. Charlotte said she would show Asuka why she's the queen. Asuka interrupts, and before she could say anything, Ripley interrupted her. Charlotte invited Ripley to sit at ringside for her match later, so she could take notes. Ripley then agreed to take her up on that offer, but already figures out Asuka would win. And then Asuka tried saying something. Charlotte keeps interrupting. Charlotte spoke slowly, and she said she couldn't understand Asuka. Asuka told Charlotte, "I will beat you," in a horrible expletive here. Riddle rides past Orton in the back. They air a replay of T-Bar and Mace attacking McIntyre for what seems like about the sixth time. We move into the second hour during the next match, which is Riddle defeating Randy Orton. Riddle wins clean. This seems odd. Riddle keeps locking on a sleeper despite Orton trying to break free. Orton gets enough separation, drops Riddle on the apron, giving him a back suplex on the announcer's table. Post-break, Orton stomps away at Riddle and targets Riddle's bare feet. Riddle fires back. Orton cuts him off with a power slam. Follows up vertical suplex. Orton lands a bit awkwardly on his arm and shoulder in the power slam because he seemed to be favoring it after that. Riddle fires back, and Orton pokes him in the eye. Orton applies a chinlock, and they pipe in bro chants for Riddle. He dodges, charge in the corner. Orton goes shoulder first into the post. Riddle fights back, hits Pele kick, and some running forearms, and a senton for near fall. They fight on the ropes, leading Orton to hit a superplex for near fall. Riddle applies a choke in the ropes, but also he lets go. Orton hits a draping DDT. Orton goes for the RKO. Riddle countered in the crucifix pin, and Riddle celebrates what he considers, I guess, to be a big victory. Pierce congratulates Sheamus on winning the U.S. title. Good to know that the U.S. title, maybe I knew that, but for some reason I thought I inverted Apollo having the U.S. and Sheamus having Intercontinental, so not that either title lineage actually matters at this point. Sheamus asks him why he invited him to the office. Pierce recalls the great champions of the past and how some of them did open challenges. Cena did it weekly a few years ago. Obviously, Pierce says that Sheamus is not Cena. Sheamus agreed to do an open challenge, just in non-title format. A match that's happened way too many times. Naomi and Lana defeat the women's tag team champions Jax and Baszler in a non-title match in about 4.25 minutes. Naomi and Lana work over Jax. They make a lot of frequent tags, stay in control. Jax takes them both down with a suplex, tagging in Baszler. Baszler then stomps Lana's arm with Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Interrupt their music and the middle of the match. Rose and Brooke cut multiple replays on the two of them attacking Jax, and a replay on Jax tripping on the apron. Jax leaves them out, marches up the apron. Rose and Brooke takes out. Um, they go to the back. Naomi and Lana use the opportunity to give Baszler double facebuster. Naomi pins her for the win. No one cares. They air a post-Mania interview with Bad Bunny. I don't imagine anyone cares about this either, except the segment of population I can't find. I actually have been asking clients who Bad Bunny is because I have no idea outside of a wrestling context. And everyone says that people know who he is. The only people that seem to know who he is are like high school kids. And most of the high school kids I've talked to, probably a couple hundred over the last, I don't know, 3 months. And I do this through parents and friends of friends and their grandparents and all this. And I'd say a good 90% of them don't care who Bad Bunny is. They're like, oh, he's this rapper guy. Like, it's such a. So, I don't understand, and maybe that's just a segment of where I'm located, in the US, but if that's the vibe with the majority of people, I find that interesting. So, anyway, Bad Bunny basically says that he was happy, and he's also happy being friends with Damian Priest. Bad Bunny says he deserved the moment. Bad Bunny says it's incredible to be able to work with everyone. He thanks the Latin community, and this is a peaceful promo, I guess. Anyway, so we move to Miz TV. Morrison isn't there. Maurice hosts with The Miz, claimed to make Bad Bunny a household name. I think he was that beforehand. I just don't know where the households are. Maurice calls him the greatest superstar of his generation. They gush over each other and make out. This sets off fireworks. They poured champagne and toasted each other, but were interrupted by Damian Priest. And Priest said Miz is delusional, as Jake Paul thinking he was a real fighter. Priest said Miz was boasting about his win last week, didn't mention how he won the match. Priest shows a replay and as it actually happened. Priest wondered what kind of man would bring about a win like that. Priest said Miz lost his pants and the whole world saw that he had no, nuts. Anyway, Maurice said that if Priest wanted a rematch, he could have one, which catches Miz off guard. Priest thanked her and then takes a sip of champagne, spits it out because he thought it was trash. Maurice chucked the drink in his face and leaves with Miz. New Day speaks with Riddle in the back. I don't understand their friendship. I don't think they do either. Kingston congratulates him on beating Orton, who he hates. They speak a bit and get all excited about pancakes. This is goofy. Riddle leaves. Kingston asks Woods if he ever understood what Riddle was talking about. Apparently not. Elias then defeated Kofi Kingston at 4:42, and Elias plays his guitar before the match and interrupts Xavier Woods, who plays something of an electric guitar instead of a trombone. During the match, Woods played Steve Austin themes on guitar. This distracts Elias. Kingston attacks. Elias cuts him off. Anyway, this match goes about. It went just over or just under 4 3/4 minutes, and was too long even at that rate. Probably by about half. Drops him over the rope, hits a vertical suplex. Kingston comes back with a crossbody for 2. Elias didn't move on the first attempt of this, which just looked even more awkward. Then there's a Rana off the top. Elias blocks it and hits the flying elbow drop. And then there's a pinfall win here. Alexis does the playground thing right before we enter the third hour. Tells us about her doll, Lily. She's had Lily all her life. They show some Photoshop pictures of her playing with Lily as a child. Um, she tells a story about pushing another girl off a swing because Lily told her to do it. So apparently, we're doing some form of schizophrenia type deal with this. Um, and then there's a CGI version of Lily, and she's shrieking. Also, Alexa says that Lily made her leave the Fiend. So I don't even know where to go with that. Sarah talks to Rose and Brooks, ask if they thought their behavior tonight was appropriate. Rose sounded like a child making her rationalizations, saying Jax started it. Jax approaches and she bails. Baszler enters and warned her to focus or else. Jax responded, or else what? Garza enters the frame next to ask Jax what she saw in the circus clown Reginald. Another completely horrible segment. 2-on-1 handicap match. T-Bar and Mace are defeated by Drew McIntyre by DQ in just under 6 minutes. I don't know why they had 6 minutes for this. T-Bar and Mace attack McIntyre in the corner and wouldn't stop. Referee disqualifies them. Strowman enters with music, so T-Bar and Mace leave. T-Bar and Mace defeat Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman at just about 6:24. Strowman, full control for the majority of the match. Takes over most guys. T-Bar takes him down with a chop block and a cheap shot or two. Strowman comes back with a back body drop, tags in McIntyre, who hits Mace with the overhead suplex neck breaker combination. McIntyre ripped Mace's mask off and tells him that he did not like him, but he did him a favor anyway. Mace slaps him in response. McIntyre smacks him with the mask and attacks repeatedly. Ref calls for another DQ. Strowman rips off T-Bar's mask too and hits him with it in the process. T-Bar and Mace pose on the ramp and they are announced as winners by disqualification. Damian Priest defeats The Miz with Maurice at just over 5 minutes. Miz takes over after Maurice causes distraction and grabs Priest's leg. Miz, he hit a bunch of kicks. Notes that the announcer notes that he's stolen from Daniel Bryan, and Corey Graves, basically says, "Good job for you on doing your homework." Priest makes a comeback. Maurice jumps up on the apron. Priest tells her, "We're not doing this again," and then distracted her enough for Miz to use a schoolboy with his feet on the ropes to get the win. Priest kicks out, so the win doesn't happen this time. And Priest hit the lights finish for the pinfall. Asuka is shown warming up in the back. Then we have a Sheamus segment. Sheamus is in the ring wearing street clothes. He brags about becoming U.S. champion, claimed he'd be a fighting champion. Carrillo comes out to answer the challenge. Sheamus attacks him from behind and sends him to the outside. Sheamus drives Carrillo into the barricade and hits him with a series of shots. Posts him before giving him the brogue kick in ring. Sheamus poses with the title at the win point. Nice enough segment for Sheamus, openly making fun of the old challenge gimmick. Charlotte's shown getting ready in the back, and then we go to a 9.25 minute match. Asuka defeats Charlotte Flair. Ripley enters to watch from ringside. Don't know why she couldn't watch on the monitor. Anyway, match starts with just over 10 minutes left in the show, so they go right up to the finish. Fight goes to the outside after a couple of minutes. This is right where Ripley's sitting. Gee, what a non-convoluted surprise. This leads to a break, and they return with just about 7 minutes left in the program. Asuka hits a German suplex and a sliding kick for a 2 count. Charlotte hits a face buster, but this was followed by Asuka and uses a code breaker, which didn't look good. Charlotte comes right back with a spear for near fall. Charlotte targets Asuka's leg and applied figure eight. Ripley yanked Charlotte down from outside. Ref doesn't see this. This allows Asuka to escape the hold. Charlotte grabs Ripley by the hand and by the head, and then struggles. Asuka kicks Charlotte and uses a crucifix to pin her. Charlotte attacks the ref after the match and beats him up pretty viciously. Two other referees tell her to leave. She attacks the ref twice before the show ends. And Asuka and Ripley disappear. What a bizarre way to end the show. What a subpar show this is, week by week. At some point, I'm going to do the Raw review for the entire, almost 30-year run. And I'd rather watch squash matches from '93 than this garbage. I really would. Anyway, we'll be back with more right after this.